The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg-Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, interest on the debt is skyrocketing and will continue to do so while spending remains out of control, and the Bloc continues to support these liberal centralizing policies that are driving up the cost of living. For example, on December 13th, the Bloc voted for over $20 billion in budgetary items. When will the Prime Minister, supported by the Bloc, stop wasting money so that Quebecers can start enjoying a decent life again? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I'm very pleased to finally have a question on the economy, because this gives me the opportunity to share some good news from the Governor of the Bank of Canada. He said today that we have gone through a long road in the fight against inflation, and recent progress is encouraging. The message to Canadians is the following: we are getting close to the goal. This is good news thanks to the work of Canadians. Thank you for the opportunity. The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg-Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, I'll remind the Minister of Finance that 48% of Liberal supporters finds that their government is not managing public finances well. That was in a recent Léger poll. Even worse, there's the Bloc, which pretends to be critical and to defend Quebec's interests. They voted for $500 billion in additional budget items. It's really, really, really expensive to vote for the Bloc, the party that supports this financial disaster. When will the Prime Minister, supported by the Bloc, stop their out-of-control spending and give Quebecers some respite? The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our colleague is talking about poor management. Mr. Speaker, have you already heard that during the whole term of the Conservative leader when he was Minister of Housing, he built six affordable housing units throughout the country? In the riding of my colleague over the past few months, I have an updated number, there are 222 affordable housing units that have been built in just his riding, 6 during the whole term of the Conservative leader as Housing Minister. The Honourable Member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Mr. Speaker, I don't know if I'm speaking to the Professor of the Université de Laval or the Procurement Minister. Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of this Prime Minister, the cost of living has never been higher. People are being squeezed. Mortgages, housing, food, everything is more expensive. This Liberal government isn't worth the cost, and neither is the Bloc Québécois. Just a reminder, it was the Bloc that voted for $500 billion in budgetary items. We're talking about $500 billion in centralizing and inflationary spending that has been supported by the Bloc Québécois. When will this Prime Minister stop its waste so that Quebecers can skip the food banks and regain their dignity? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, once again, a good opportunity to talk about the economy. First, we have a responsible policy fiscally. We have a AAA credit rating, the highest possible, and I'll refer to the Bank of Canada's governor who's talked about the good progress on inflation. But the Conservatives, their only policy is austerity and cut. They want to cut daycares, cut school food programs, and cut Radio-Canada CBC, which is so important for Quebecers. The Honourable Member for Montmagny-Lisle-Kamouraska-Rivière-du-Loup. Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of budgetary chaos, this government, supported by the Bloc, continues with its inflationary spending. They are throwing money out the window. The Bloc talks about the importance of health transfers, but they voted for $500 billion in centralizing spending, which has more interest costs than the money that goes to health transfers. The more this government spends, the more the Bloc supports it. When will the Prime Minister stop wasting taxpayer money? The Honourable Minister of Innovation. Mr. Speaker, Canadians who are listening today understand that they have a choice. On one side of the House, Mr. Speaker, they hear the voice of a party that has no ambition, no vision, no plan for the future. On this side of the House, what people understand is that they have a Liberal government, a government that has a vision for the future, a government that has a plan for the coming generations, a government that has ambition for our country, Mr. Speaker. What I tell Canadians is listen to what you're hearing. You'll see that on this side of the House, we will fight for you every day. The Honourable Member for Lévis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, after 9 years, the Bloc and the Prime Minister are not worth the cost. The Bloc has always voted with the Liberals on government budgets. We're talking about $500 billion in centralizing and inflationary spending, and that hurts. This spending increases the cost of living and keeps interest rates high. With the Bloc, Quebecers are going hungry. They're having trouble housing themselves, and they are hurting. Mr. Speaker, when will this Prime Minister, supported by the Bloc, stop wasting money so that Quebecers can once again afford decent housing and food? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I am really pleased to have another opportunity to refer to the Governor of the Bank of Canada, who shared very good news today with Canadians. He said, the message to Canadians is the following: we are getting closer to the goal. He's also said that it's our government's fiscal responsibility that has allowed him to stabilize inflation, and that will allow us to reduce the overnight rate.